Before I start, I just want to say that the relationships are kind of difficult. They were difficult for me, and I kind of messed up the grandfather, great grandfather, but I'm going to keep it in there. I'll put little asterisks on there so you guys know if I messed up or not, because I already recorded this. This is my second time recording it, and I'm not going to record it again. So bear with me. Here we go. Okay, you guys, we are back. This is episode 2. So this episode starts with Casey. Remember, Casey is the aunt of Armie Hammer. Casey hasn't actually spoken to Armie in about 15 years because she is estranged from the family because she wrote that tell-all book that I told you guys about. But she is here for this documentary, The Dark, Twisted Secrets of the Hammer Family. She actually says that she is in fear of her life. Her friend told her to be aware and beware because her life may be ended because she's telling all of the family secrets. So we're going to start, and this is my second time actually doing this, recording this video, because there's so many people. We're going back to the great grandfather, and everybody's name is like the same, so I was getting confused. So we're starting with Armie Hammer's great grandfather, whose name is Julius Hammer. He is a Jewish man from the Soviet Union. He came over to the United States, and he was actually an active politician, as well as the founder of the American Communist Party, one of the actual founders. So from this, we learn that the communist symbol, the American communist symbol, was the arm and hammer. The arm and hammer. So what does he do? He names his son Armand, and their last name is Hammer. Armand Hammer. So that is the symbol of the Communist Party. So as far as Julius goes, he comes over to New York, and he is channeling money into New York from Russia, or the Soviet Union at the time. He is also trading secrets from the US because he works for who? The KGB. Now, the KGB, I don't know that much about the KGB, but I know that Putin used to be part of the KGB, like the spies, and they're killing people and stuff of this nature. And it's not a good thing. These like brutal people. But he was doing all kinds of activity. He's trading secrets to the US, and he's also doing money laundering as well, making his way in the US. So now we're moving over to his son, Armand Hammer, who is Armie Hammer's great grandfather. Now, this is the patriarch of the family. Julius is long gone. So Armand Hammer, this is the guy that basically, the building that I told you, the museum that's in Los Angeles, in Westlake, that is where the museum is named after him. He's the oil tycoon. He did an interview with Phil Donahue from the 1980s. So Phil Donahue is interviewing him, and they show clips of that. And Phil Donahue talks about Armand Hammer having 3 different marriages. Well, his first marriage was to a woman named Olga. Second marriage was to a woman named Angela. Third marriage was to a woman named Frances, who I think was his final wife. Now, the first marriage, he actually got married in Russia. So he lived in Russia for a time, and he left Olga to come to America. They had a life. They had a family. He had a son named Julian. So kind of named it after his father. So had a son named Julian, but he came over to America and was like, I don't want anything to do with you in the old country. And so he married a woman named Angela. Olga's trying to get, I think Olga's trying to get over to America, but he's just like, I don't want anything to do with you. She's like, you have a son, you have Julian here, he's your son. He's like, this is not my son. And he made them take a paternity test because he wanted to hide his past, wanted nothing to do with them. They take the paternity test, find out that Julian is his, but he still leaves Olga, don't want nothing to do with Olga. Keep your ass back in Russia. So he gets married to this woman named Angela. So they're married for a short period of time, but his story is Angela is an alcoholic and I can't deal with her anymore. So I'm divorcing her. But we see on the divorce papers, it says that Angela was basically in fear of her life. She said that he did psychological warfare on her, tried to break her down. He told her that he would destroy her if she even tried to come after him. And then she also told about how he would beat her brains in and basically tried to beat her with like a lead pipe or something like that. So she finally got away from him. So then he meets this woman named Frances. Now, Frances, this is a woman that he stays with for 31 years. Why does he stay with Frances? Because she is loaded. Her family has money. She is the one that actually gave him the money so that he could invest in the Occidental oil, where he is making even more money. But the whole time, he is a womanizer or whatnot. So he is cheating on Frances the whole time. And he has his mistress, whose name is Martha. So Martha is his mistress that he's been seeing. Frances, his wife, finds out about Martha. And she's like, hold on, you need to cut that off. I'm not having it. Cut it off. So, of course, he doesn't want to get divorced from Frances because she has all the money, right? So he's just like, okay, honey, I'm going to cut off the relationship. He did not cut off the relationship. What he did, because he had control of his mistress, is he actually made her change her name legally. So Martha became Hillary. He made Hillary wear this blonde wig so that if he was ever seen out with this other woman, that his wife wouldn't know that it was actually Martha. So Hillary slash Martha, she was at Armie Hammer's beck and call. She had a beeper, had to be there whenever he wanted her to be there. And this affair carried on for many, many years. So this was a controlling man. Casey the aunt says that basically, I wasn't surprised by Armie's behavior of controlling women because this kind of runs in the family. So how do we know this? How do we know all this information about their deep, dark secrets? It's because Armand Hammer had a whole book published on him, which was called Dossier, The Secret History of Armand Hammer. How did we get all this information? The dossier, how did we get this information? Oh, it was from his son, Julian, who is the grandfather. Julian is the grandfather of Armie Hammer. So Julian comes along. Julian, again, is Armand's son. Julian is an alcoholic himself, just like his dad. Apple doesn't fall too far from the tree because Armand, we know, used to beat the hell out of his wife. And Julian basically does the same thing. Okay? Julian does the same thing. He's an alcoholic. He beats his wife. He met his wife vacationing somewhere and they fell in love. And after only a few months, that's when they decided they wanted to get married. So Julian, the grandfather, gets married to this woman that he's only known for a couple of months. Armand, his dad, says, look, you're married now. You need to straighten up your act, right? We found out that Julian is very abusive to his wife, just like Armand was abusive to his second wife. And they actually have 2 children. And Casey is his daughter. And then he has a son named Michael. So Casey and Michael are Julian's kids. Michael is Armie's father. So Casey is telling the story about her life and growing up with her father, Julian. And Julian, again, is Armie's grandfather. So Julian is very abusive. The wife, she tries to get away from Julian. She leaves a few times after he's beat her. She goes to a hotel. She tries to leave, but Armand steps in and Armand is like, no, you're not leaving my son. If you leave my son, I will destroy you. So of course, the wife stays because basically everybody knew that Armand was in control of things. He was the patriarch of the family. Casey talked about Big Brother always watching. Who was Big Brother? Big Brother was Armand. And Armand He had files on everybody. He had rules that everybody had to follow. He bugged the house's phones. Casey said whenever she got on the phone that she would hear a click. It's like somebody's recording the phone calls. We know that Armand, he had very powerful ties with the Soviet Union since he was Russian. He also had very strong ties with US politics. He knew our President Kennedy personally. He knew Nixon personally. He knew Reagan personally. Like, he could pick up the phone and call them. So in 1971, Julian beat up his wife so bad that she decided that she wanted to finally leave him. But remember, Armand, Julian's father, had said that if you leave my son, I will destroy you. I will leave you with nothing. So what happened? She was left with nothing. And in the courts, all she got was $200 child support. But Casey went to live with her mother, and then Michael, her brother, went to go live with her father, who was Julian. She tells about how she didn't see her dad for a long time. She didn't see her brother for a long time. But then she was finally allowed to visit her father at his place. She said in his place was a constant party. Everybody's partying all the time. When you walk in, you're handed a drink. You go into the living room, they have bowls of cocaine, and you can just indulge in your wildest pleasures. They always had women at the house, and Julian would call these women his housekeepers. But basically, they were young girls. They were there to party it up, she said basically there was orgies going on and things of that nature. She actually tells about the time where it was a big party going on. Casey went to her room. When she woke up in the morning, she goes into the other parts of the house, and then just naked bodies are all over the place. Pictures are being taken. This is the time where we had Polaroids, and she picked up one of these Polaroid pictures. She's looking at it, and she sees a woman in it licking something. And she's a child at the time. She's about 11, 12 years old. She's thinking this woman is licking an ice cream cone. But then she's looking, and she said, that's not an ice cream cone. This woman is holding something in her hand that is attached to a man. So she's like, okay. So she realizes that she grows up in this environment where women are disposable. They are here for men's pleasure, things of that nature. At one point in time, we have another woman, Kathy Bowl. Kathy Bowl comes and does the documentary as well. So she's presented to us. So who is Kathy Bowl? So Kathy Bowl started off as an actual housekeeper to Julian. So she's there cleaning up stuff, like she's actually working as a housekeeper. But Julian convinces her to leave her husband. So of course she leaves her husband for Julian. Brings her kid with her and everything. Soon after, Julian and Kathy, they get engaged. She tells about how it wasn't a very loving relationship, but one day he decides to invite her out. They're going to go out. They're going to go party. So they go out, they go to a bar, and they get drinks and whatnot, and everybody's having a good time. But she is kind of upset because her fiance is not paying attention to her. And she sees that he is flirting with all these men. He's actually flirting with these men. She comes to realize that her husband took her to a gay bar. And so he's flirting with all these men. And so when she finally figures it out, she's like, I'm out of here. She's pissed off. She's out of here. And so she goes outside. She hitches a ride, because this is like the 70s, 80s or whatever. So she's going to hitchhike a ride to go back home. Julian finally figures out that she's gone. So he gets in his car, and so he heads home too. When he gets there, she's already there, and the guy that gave her a ride, he's still there. So Julian goes in the house. He gets a shotgun, and they're fighting over this shotgun. They're in the house. The shotgun goes off, hits the ceiling, and upstairs is Kathy's kid that's asleep, barely missing the kid. After that, she says that she leaves. Like, that's it for her. She doesn't want to deal with anything. You almost killed my kid. you gay? I didn't know that you were gay. I didn't know that you played that way, things of that nature. Let's go on. We're going to go on to Michael. Now, Michael is the son of Julian. Michael is also the father to Armie. So Michael is here. He's lived with Julian all these years. He sees how his father treats women. We also know that Michael and Julian, they don't really get along. They say that Julian, Michael's father, is actually jealous of him. Why is he jealous of him? Because he has a great relationship with his grandfather, Armand, who is Julian's father. And we know that Julian and Armand don't get along. They don't like each other. But Michael, Julian's son, he loves his grandfather and his grandfather loves him. So in turn, Julian does not like Michael. We find out Michael, he's turning into some kind of womanizer. He's a party boy. He goes to University of San Diego. He's partying it up, sleeping with all kinds of women. Everybody loves him. He's the playboy on campus, things of that nature. We also find out that Michael is an alcoholic as well. So this is running in the family where the men are alcoholics. So basically he's partying. Julian, Michael, and Casey, they're all out. They're partying. They're adults at the time. And Julian and Michael, they get into a fight. Like they want to kill each other at a parking lot in a bar somewhere. And I guess the police were called because these dudes are fighting. What are they fighting for? It's because Julian, Michael's father, offered him $1 million to be with his girlfriend at the time. Michael didn't like it. He was going to beat his dad's ass. The cops broke it up, told each of these drunk individuals to go in their car. Michael gets in his car. Julian gets in his car. Michael drives off, but who gets in the car with Julian but Michael's girlfriend? Like she took the offer. I'm not going to be with Michael. I'm going to be with Michael's dad, Julian. And she basically moves into Julian's place for like the next eight months. And they're a couple. Crazy stuff. So at this point in time, Michael is an adult. He's graduated college. Armand, Michael's grandfather, tells him, look, you need to straighten up your life. You need to get into this business and I'm going to teach you the business. So he starts working for his grandfather. He's still drinking. He takes an airplane flight. He's going somewhere. He's drunk as a skunk on the plane. Who does he meet? He meets some woman named Drew. Drew said when she first met him on that plane, even though he was drunk as a skunk, that she knew that she was going to marry him. They start seeing each other. Even though Michael is seeing other women, Michael proposes to Drew. They're going to be married. They eventually get married because Armand, Michael's grandfather, tells him, you need to marry this woman. You need to straighten up your act, marry this woman, and do right. Why does Armand want Michael to marry this woman? Because she comes from a wealthy family in the South somewhere, and she was very religious. And so this religious woman would help with their image, because it's all about image for them. Because with Armie Hammer, his image was, I'm a philanthropist, I'm a humanitarian, I'm this, I'm that, things of that nature. But while he's giving this persona as this humanitarian, his son, Julian, is also getting in trouble. Julian actually killed somebody. Who did he kill? He killed his friend. Why did he kill his friend? Because not only was Julian an alcoholic, he was also addicted to gambling. So his friend, I guess they were gambling and stuff, and he owed his friend like, I don't know, a few $1,000s. And his friend came to get the money for the debt that was owed to him. Instead of paying the money, Julian shot him. So he was arrested for manslaughter. But what does Armand do? Because he has to protect his image, right? So he pays off everybody, gives tens of thousands of dollars to pay off people so that his son doesn't have to go to jail. So during this time, so this was a big controversy with the family. And Armand Hammer wants to get rid of this controversy for his family. Now, Armand Hammer, he is hobnobbing with the presidents, as I said, and things of that nature. We also find out that Armand Hammer, I guess there was the whole Watergate scandal. It was a whole Watergate scandal. And they talk about in the Watergate scandal, I think it was Deep Throat, who was the informant, told them to follow the money. Who is the money? The Hammers are the money. Because with the Watergate scandal, they went in there and burglarized the Democratic National Convention and stole the documents out of the DNC. So he was involved in all of that. I believe Armand Hammer, he got charged for being involved in the burglary at Watergate. So what does he have to do to rehabilitate his reputation? Let's go overseas to find royalty to hobnob with and to give money to and to give tens and thousands of dollars to their charities and whatnot. So, he's good with all these people. He's good with celebrities. He's given money to celebrities. He's given money to the royals. He's given money to presidents. He's trying to keep in his good name. At one point in time, I think the charges for the Watergate scandal were he was pardoned from that because I believe it was Reagan, one of the presidents, I forget which one. I think it was Reagan, basically pardoned him. And so all charges just went away because money talks, right? So let's get back to Michael. Michael, he's an up-and-comer in the company, in the oil company. And then Armand is getting pretty old. He's getting old. He's getting up there. And one day, Armand Hammer dies. So they go to the will signing where everybody learns what they're going to get from the will. Armand Hammer, he's like, everybody thinks he's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. He's rich. He's giving money to all these people. Casey gets $250,000. Her father, Julian, Casey and Michael's father, he gets $500,000. Now, this is a billionaire, right? He gave his granddaughter $250,000. He gave his son $500,000. The estate went to Michael, his grandson, who is Armie's father. He got the company. He was executor of the estate, worth $40 million. Now, we think this man is a billionaire. Everybody thought he was a billionaire. He wasn't a billionaire. He had given so much money away to the royals, to celebrities, to charities, to presidents, paying off people. $40 million. Should have been worth at least $1 billion, but $40 million. So from that's how we know all of Armand's business, how he was basically doing all these deals, recording phone calls, blackmailing people. We know all of this because Julian, when he found out he only got $500,000 from the will, he's like, I'm telling all the business. So he gave all of the papers, documents, recordings, everything. He gave it to some investigative journalists. And then that's how we got the book, the dossier about Armand Hammer's life. So at this point, Julian hates Armand Hammer because he didn't leave him no money. And then Michael, he got all the money because he was devoted to his grandfather. He got everything. After Armand Hammer dies, now I tell you, these are some Jewish people. These are Jewish people. These are Russian Jews, right? After Armand Hammer dies, Michael, his punk ass, tells the family on Armand Hammer's deathbed, Armand Hammer devoted his life to Christ. He was no longer a Jew because he accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior and became a good Christian Catholic, just like Michael's wife. Because Michael's wife was very religious and she was Catholic. So Michael started giving money to all these Christian and Catholic charities, Christian this and Christian that, just giving money away to all these Christian organizations. So that was Michael is Armie's father. That's his story. The episode ends, well, it doesn't end, but I'm going to end it here with Armie. We already know that all these women have come out on Armie saying that he abused them. He took advantage of them. He was not honest and crossed their boundaries. And we know that Armie did this all on Instagram where he was DMing, direct messaging these women on Instagram, hooking up with these women on Instagram. And this is from his Armie Hammer account. We find out it gets leaked that he actually has a Finsta. A Finsta, it's a fake Instagram account. It's private. So on this Finsta, the username is El Destructo86. If you look up the Instagram right now, it's still there, but it's private. But it has stuff on there. You can see that there's post on there. Somebody leaked the post. We got posts of Armie using drugs, taking pills, drinking and driving, causing all kinds of danger within the world. He talks about how he has to take this drug test. He beat the drug test because the drug test didn't test for, I think, like ketamine or something like that. Whatever drug it was, it didn't test for that. So he got away with the drug test, even though he had never stopped using drugs. Also on this Instagram account, there is video of him giving like a tour of his apartment or his house. He's going around from room to room. Oh, this is the dining room. This is the bathroom. This is this. Let's go through the bedroom. As they're going through the bedroom, there is a woman on all fours in lingerie, just on all fours, just there, not moving. She's not moving. And he's just talking and walking, and he goes to the balcony. Still, this woman is here, not moving, waiting for him to tell her to move. I tell you, Armie is into some freaky, freaky stuff. And he's putting it on full display, even though this is supposed to be a private account. But he's like bragging to the world, these are the things that I'm doing. These are the sexual things that I'm doing. These are the illegal things that I'm doing. These are the drugs that I'm doing. Let me pop some pills, wash it down with a red stripe. Episode 3, I'm going to get into that because we're going to talk about some incestuous things that happened in the family. We're going to talk about not only Armie's actual proclivities, but his father's. And then another girl actually comes out and tells her story of how she was abused by Armie Hammer, as well as an ex-employee was abused by Armie Hammer. But we'll get into it next time, sometime this weekend. I'll talk to you guys later.